All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm chopping off the coffee here. Hope everybody is doing well. If you're joining me live or if you're coming through on the replay, real nice to have you here. Hope you had a good week last week. I don't know about you. I'm in a real kind of chill mood this morning. First time I learned how to put some background music on this, so I've tried to set a calm little vibe. Let me know what you think of that, if the volume's good. I was thinking about starting out the live stream today, reflecting on the week that was past and kind of gearing up. How do we win the week going forward? So my last week, I don't know if you tuned in last week, I did the little thing. I recorded a live stream and then posted it because I was running a marathon during the time when I'm trying to do this. So I thought I'd just show you a little picture. I got my gratitude for the week. Yeah, so throw in the chat if you want, or comments. Is there something that you're grateful for, either about last week or about the week to come? I'm grateful that I was able to do this marathon and then and not hurt myself. So that was one. I was worried about that. And that I was able to do it with my son. And that was meaningful. So I'll show you a little pic of that. There you go. So here we are at the finish line. Some rain, some cold, but we made it, and it was a good experience. So the other thing I've been thinking about, okay, yesterday I am grateful. I was working on a video for y'all that I'm filming. I'm working on, someone sent me a message a couple weeks ago. They said, okay, I really like the idea of fasting. I especially get charged up for it, Sunday going into the week. I'm real enthused, and I'm like, you know what? This is going to be the week where I'm really going to dial in and get this right and get my weight moving in the right direction. And they say, things are going really well on, Monday, Tuesday, but the week is so stressful, and by the time Wednesday is rolling around, well, then I'm having a lot more difficulty. And as we head into Friday, then I'm really struggling and kind of undo the progress that maybe I made earlier in the week. And can we find a way to break out of that cycle, kind of even things out? So I've been doing a lot of thinking about that. I went out and I'm filming a video for it. A couple times on this channel, I have this fasting space series. Videos, kind of meditation, and part of it, what I was doing is time lapse with that. So a time lapse, I think, is an interesting medium or art form. It's just capturing so much time into like a short space, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do, with this sort of live format. If we're trying to burn up blood sugar, right? If we're trying to ultimately reduce weight, burn up the stored energy, the way you do that by fasting is open space, right? So we have to spend time going through that space without eating. And so that's like the definition of fasting. M. Palmer, hello, good day to you. Hello, thanks for being here. So time lapse to me as an art form is kind of capturing that sort of idea. Getting ourselves, hey, here doing my 48 hours. Congratulations to you on that. I hope you're feeling well and doing well with that. Is that something you've been doing for a long time? Or new to it? So a few of those videos that I have on the channel, the time lapse, I enjoyed doing that. I was doing that kind of last fall, and I thought I'd try to do another one. And the ones that I've done in the past, because I'm just learning how to use the camera, I've never been into video. I bought a camera to do the YouTube channel, and then I was like, well, I have this thing, and so I I was kind of messing around with my kids one day. I was like, oh, how do you do these like time lapses? So I thought for this one, I should try to put myself on camera. So I was like, if I film a time lapse, it takes a couple hours and then just to make a couple minutes of footage. So I went out in the country yesterday to film this video about this going to be about breaking, this kind of habits of, and especially toward the end of the week. In my view, a fasting practice should be like a stress relieving practice. And that's the way I try to help everybody to see it. Certainly some people, especially when you're new to it, if you're coming to a fasting practice, I certainly completely understand. You say, could this be a stressful thing to consider? Anytime that we're changing anything that we're doing, it can be stressful, right? We get in habits because it makes things easy. We don't have to think about it or make decisions. So anytime you change, and then changing how we eat or what we do it, eating is so tied emotionally, to our emotional state. And so you change that, it can be stressful. But the way I always tell people about it, if it is causing you stress, just don't do it. Just wait and think about it. Kind of, a friend of mine describes it as like walking along the river, which I really like. You don't have to dive right into a river if you're trying to change something or do something different. You can walk along the riverbank for a while. So this is one of the things that I'm thinking about. Oh, I should try this. There we go. Feeling great, doing some fasting on and off, but as soon as I stop fasting, my blood pressure goes up. Now fasting for the last 2 weeks, eating one day, then fasting 4 hours, no blood pressure meds. That is really happy. And I'm really happy that you're feeling well doing it. Yeah, blood pressure is like an unappreciated effect from fasting. And, it's not everybody that experiences blood pressure reduction, but it's maybe at least a quarter to a third of people who are doing it really seem to have a good effect. I did the clinical study, and if you haven't seen, my video on it, I've got one that says like got insulin, like look through, and I talk through the study. The study, though, probably the most interesting thing I've done in medicine. We took a group of 20 insulin using patients and put them on just a simple 18-6 fasting protocol for 6 months. And the purpose of that study was just to demonstrate that you can safely get someone off insulin using a fasting practice very gently. And of our 20 people, 14 of the 20 were completely off insulin by the end of the study. Nobody harmed, doing it. I think it's such an awesome study. I hope we can find a way to get some broader, exposure to it. I'd really like to discuss it in a bigger way with people. But the sub part of that is of those, I think we stopped like 9 different blood pressure medicines for people, and it was a quarter of people had basically resolution of their blood pressure problem while they were doing it also, which was definitely a bonus. A lot of auxiliary benefits. The main thing I want to try to help people do, burn up extra blood sugar, burn up the body fat. That's what I want to kind of do in this space. Like fasting space is, okay, we don't just talk about fasting, we're fasting together. Things can be difficult when we're trying to do them ourselves, but if someone who say, well, it's easy for me to fast, okay, well, come into this space maybe. But if someone is really struggling, that's what I want. To find spaces where people who are struggling, where we can all kind of come together, support each other. I've been very optimistic lately. I've been feeling optimistic about, health for people, just because this is such a simple practice. Like I've really come to think that, okay, the core things of health that everybody, would do, find a type of movement that works for your body, that you feel good doing, whether it's just taking a walk or anything. And then eating the healthiest foods that we have available to us. And then fasting is, to me, kind of a cornerstone sort of practice. And I really think that anybody can come to learn to fast. And so what I really want to do on this channel, just help people slowly, thoughtfully learn how to do it over time. And then I think so many people could benefit from it. So I just want to expand that. Anyway, so I was saying I was filming this video, try to do another time lapse, but I was going to put myself on the camera. So I was like, oh, try to sit in this space out in the country for like 2 or 3 hours. I was trying to psych myself up for it. The times when I've done it in the past, you know, I've done it, but I haven't been on the camera. I don't know. So I did it yesterday, it was an enjoyable experience, I will say. I sat there for about 2.5 hours out in the country, and it was just a very peaceful sort of space. And this is the thing I've experienced every other time that I've tried to do this, but where I'm just sitting behind the camera, you know, learning how is it working and is it working. You know, I was reflecting during this time, okay, you know, when I left my primary care practice, I was like, you know, dive in with the simple fasting channel. I was like, well, this is like my job now. But there was a point there where I was thinking like, okay, my parents live out in the country. They have some space out there. You know, I'm super into, you know, healthy food, how like growing food. It's something that I don't do as much as I want. We have a little garden at home here. But I thought, man, I could just spend my time out in the country. Maybe I should become some sort of organic farmer or something like this. Maybe I still will do that at some point. Maybe I can do both. But then I was like, oh, I'm going to dive in on simple fasting because I want to share this, you know, message and help people do it to the best that I can. But every time I get back out in the country and I'm sitting out there, I was like, oh, I should just be here. And every time I get there, I just feel so good and connect to, you know, nature and get out of the city for a while. Do y'all have a favorite place, like out of town? Do you like to get out in the country? Is there a certain type of place? Throw in the chat. I'd be curious to hear. I try to get out there as much as I can. And each time I've done one of these time-lapse projects, I experience the same thing. Okay, I'm working digitally so much, you know, video, writing, I'm staring into a computer, you know, I feel like all day. And then I'm trying to keep myself off social media because like if I open stuff like that up, like, you know, the algorithms get you, at least they get me. Like I'll think, oh, I'm just going to go look at this one person on Twitter or X and see what they have to say. But then, you know, you see something and before you know it, you're scrolling on, and I try to not do that. So I was sitting there out in the field. I wrote down some reflections that I was having. Every time I do this, you know, I experience the same thing, to try to go sit out in an empty space, like out in the country. Okay, if you get somewhere, it's like, okay, this is somewhere new. The first little bits, you say, okay, this is exciting. I'm looking around. Okay, but by 10 minutes, you know, I start experiencing kind of withdrawal from all the screens and the computer. I want to look at something. I want to get on my phone. I want to do, you know, something like that. And then it gets really kind of intense for me by around half an hour. And then after half an hour, I kind of make it through, and then it kind of, that sort of experience kind of fades away. And then I, you know, start thinking better and more clearly and kind of calm down. Here, I'll bring my reflections that I had. So the first thing, you know, I was sitting there maybe 10 minutes, and the first kind of notable thing that happened is a bald eagle came and like circled around me. And so then I was just watching this eagle, and that was such a beautiful experience. It came just, I don't know, 30 feet over my head. And, you know, I'm in this space. I'm trying to think, okay, how do we help people to practice fasting? How do we, you know, I'm thinking about this experience I'm having. We're in this digital experience, the social media, like all the things. Like here, like this eagle is just, it doesn't even, it was kind of breezy. It's like, it didn't even have to flap its wings. It's just like, it's floating in the breeze and it just kind of soars around. And I was thinking, like, look at this creature. It's not stressing out about anything. It's just embracing this space. I don't know. It's just beautiful. that's the sort of mindset that I want to help people get to, is like just open, like not struggling. Here, this bird is not struggling. It's flying around. It's just. So I thought that was kind of a beautiful thought. Can we just, okay, we got, like, what is the wind in our life? Like wind, we think like, oh, it's blowing things around, but can we use it? Like this bird isn't getting blown around by the wind. It's using it just to take it wherever it wants. It's like, what are the challenges that we're facing in our week? What are things that that we've maybe seen as, headwinds? Like, how can we just, relax and, prosper and thrive despite all what is going on? So that was kind of a thought I was thinking. Another one was just sitting around. I wonder if I can show you any of this, what I'm working on. Let's see if I have it open here. Well, I can probably show this. One picture, one frame from it here. I'll just share my screen. If I can get faster at it. Oh, this, if I share, I have to share my entire screen, and then I think, is it going to loop around? Now it does this crazy thing. But if I open up this here, I can at least get one frame. Here's me just sitting out in this field. Can we see that? I'm so bad at doing it, sorry. Sitting out in this field, sitting in the grass, looking out over the landscape, and then the eagle flying across through here. It was really great. Okay, what were some other thoughts that I was having? Okay, the trees, I was sitting in the middle of these trees, and I was thinking, especially in this point, my beautiful calming music, where does it go? I was liking that. Do people like the music? Do people not like the music? Let me know what people think of it. Okay, so I was sitting out there. I showed you in these beautiful trees. I'm kind of going right through that point where I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I have it set up to stay here for 2.5 hours, and I'm thinking then I'm like fasting in that space because I'm trying to dive into this mindset of like, okay, how do we help people do this? And I was thinking, okay, the trees are here. That's the thing I was reflecting on. Trees spending its whole life here. And like, can I just even be here for 2 hours out in this space and be content? And this is the big mindset that I want people to experience with fasting. Fasting definitely about finding contentment. Finding contentment is very hard in our society. Like, we have, the distraction. What did I hear the other day? Distraction industrial complex, trying to always get us to buy something or do something or watch something. And get out of it. So I'm like, okay, what can we learn from sitting here by a tree? Now, I mean, you say, is this just a mental extra construct and we're not a tree? But like, the longer I sit in that space, I was like, it helps you connect to it, and I think that is a real thing. And I felt like, all right, trees having an experience here. Can we derive strength from this sort of place? And whether that's just a mental exercise or it's all in your head or something like that, I found it helpful just as a way to think about it. And then you think about finding gratitude. I was like, okay, a tree has a pretty simple existence, right? But I was like, then find gratitude. Like, you know what? Like, how incredible! I'm not a tree, right? And I can just get up and leave, and I can go wherever I want. And I was try to find gratitude, like, for our life and how beautiful it is, and how incredible it is. That, and I think about my family. I'm going to leave. I'm going to head back, see my family. And so this was a really, I thought, at least for my own personal self, a very powerful, space to be in and thought process to be in, as I thought about, fasting and making it through a space in a thoughtful, sort of way. I I think the first time I looked at the clock, I knew it was about, half an hour or something where I started to really settle in. And then, I'm trying not to leave the camera running all day. I think it was an hour and 45 minutes when I first looked at the clock, when I was like, oh, this has been going on quite a long time. And then I felt really good about that because I was like, there was definitely like a space there where I just, made it through a stretch of time where I didn't feel like it was such a struggle. And and so, I'm practicing that, doing that to try to get into that mindset because that's what I want to help people do. That's what I hope this space is. And is it doing that in some fashion? I want this to be your space if you're here connecting with me. Uh, I've never run the live stream before. What would you like it to be like? I've said in the future, I'm very happy to bring people on. I have, different folks that have told me they'd like to come on at some point, but it's always a trick with a schedule. Anybody listening, you want to jump on the show? We have, send me an email next week. I'll bring you on there. I can bring that on. Shoot me an email, Dr. Z at simplefasting.com. We have a chat live if you ever want, or just drop an email to say hi. But it was right around an hour 45 where I was sitting out in that space, and that's where I first realized that I was stressed out. I didn't really realize it, but I was like, "Oh, I've got this tension." That's what I first realized. Like, man, I'm like tension in the jaw, and I was like, "Why am I stressed out?" You know? Like I'm just out here in this beautiful space. I'm trying to film a video for the channel, thinking about opening up space, helping people to find contentment. And I didn't know exactly, but I thought it was just an interesting sort of experience to say, oh, it took a while in this open space before I started to like really decompress a bit. And so this is something I might challenge you all for the week, is to think about like, okay, we're in this environment, there's all this stress surrounding us, and can a fasting practice help you to open up a space in your life that is a contemplative space? I always wanted to do two things at once. I want people to be able to lose weight, improve blood sugar. That's like the physical, the health side. I want it to be win-win, where people can improve their mental state also. I always say to people, if you lost all the weight you ever wanted, if your blood pressure and blood sugar went down, but you were more stressed out, and it'd be hard to say that life was better, even if you accomplished every like health goal. So I always want things to be win-win, accomplish the health goal and feel better and move our wellness forward. So I was kind of finding a space like that, sitting out in the country in that space. I'm grateful for that. And I hope you can find a space like that in your week, where open up some space, kind of reflect. That's what I encourage people to do in a fasting space. There's kind of two ideas for it. One is like working, if you're trying to make it through a fasting space, you just work on something, whether it's going to the job or it's working around the house or it's getting a project, or just to keep your mind off of it. And that's perfectly fine. Find a pleasant distraction. The other side of it is to like actually really dive into it. And that's, I would grant that's the more difficult, side of it. That's the practice. But to really embrace it, embrace that open space, recognize, like I was describing, it can be hard to go through that sort of process and to really sit with yourself in that sort of space. But you can definitely get to a place where you can decompress a bit. And then that can also be a really thoughtful space where you can, pass through the time without struggling. That's what I really want. And so both of those are avenues to get there. Okay, I think those are the reflections I had from my little session out in the field. I'll be working on this video over the week. Hopefully I'll post it on Friday. That's my goal. We'll we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. With the time lapse, it's always hard to know. You can't really know looking at it how it turned out until you get it all the pictures put together. And I started looking through it. I still couldn't tell you if it's going to look reasonable or not. We shall see. Okay, I'm rambling on and on about that. I hope you're all doing well. I want to be respectful of your time. We don't have to continue this any longer than people want. I want to just open some space here, though, if people who are watching, if you have questions, I'd be very happy to dive in to any questions that you have or comments or thoughts. Throw them in the chat. Or if anything comes up over the course of the day after we're doing this, throw them in the comments. I get a little note. I think in the YouTube space, if you throw a comment in there, something comes up, we can have a chat about it later as well. Anything big people have coming up for the week? Part of my thought too is like, can we build a community here? Oh, that I should bring up. Two communities I really want to build. Build a community here on YouTube. YouTube is free. I love that. It's just open. Anybody can be here. And so I really have a huge value in just putting all of my best content for free out there. And I'm always going to do that. I am launching a private community. One of the things I'm trying to do since I left my primary care job, figure out, okay, one of the things I love about fasting the most is completely free. You can't sell it. That's what I just love. I don't really like the weight loss industry. It's just endless hype and marketing and, supplements and just snake oil. And I don't like that. That's why I so much resonate with fasting, because it's nothing. It's nothing that you can sell. It's nothing that you can really hype or anything. But I was like, well, how does one support themselves with nothing? It's kind of interesting. So if you're interested in joining a private community, it's awkward. Like for me, it was very hard for me to get on camera. And this is like, I wanted to do a live show, for like a long time, but I was intimidated to do it, I'll be honest. But I'm kind of getting in the groove of it. The private community, go simplefasting.com. Wonder if I can show you that. And the, I will be able to. Here, I'll show you. A little more intimate setting, not so intense as like, being out on the web. And so would it be easier for people to connect in that sort of space? I want to help people form relationships. I really think relationships are such a key to long-term health, healthy, positive, supportive relationships. Creating environments that are supportive and helping people accomplish their health goals is what I want to do. So everything, free on YouTube. And then I have a next level up where for a little monthly fee, get into a private community. And then I'm also doing personal consulting. And so you can access my other services on simplefasting.com. I'll show you how to get there quick. Sure. In the future, I'll get faster. So here we are, simplefasting.com at the top. And up at the top, I got this little community link. And then that'll take you to Simple Fasting Community. Log in or join, and you can watch my little infomercial I filmed about it. And if any of that has any value to anyone, of course, let me know. Real grateful to all of you who are tuning in with me here today. I hope you have a great day, a great week. I hope the week brings you success with any sort of health goal that you're having. If you're having any struggle with it, dial in on the channel. Very helpful, very happy to answer any questions or have a discussion about it. I will look forward to seeing you back here next week. I'm going to do 8:30 Sunday mornings. I think we're over a month now that I've been doing that. I'm going to keep that going. Got some hopefully interesting content coming out on the channel. And wish you the very best. And we'll talk to you next week.